Okay, I've already started this before I decided I was going to film stuff, but basically I've got this AC delete kit from 50 Resto because this thing was sticking up like that, and I was constantly banging my head on this freaking thing. You can see how far it sticks up. It's basically like that. So yeah, anytime I reached in to do anything, I was hitting my head. It was in the way. I don't have AC, so I wanted to get rid of this. Basically, where I'm at is gotta take the serpentine belt off. You basically will put a, I want to say it's 18 on that. Turn it that way to get the tension off of it. There's a little spring in here. But yeah, so you turn that to get the tension off of it, and belt slides off of that. I would recommend that you make a drawing of your belt routing, which I did, but it got erased from my board. So I'll have to figure that out, but it's no biggie. We can. The other thing, it's all good. The other thing that I did is I took this smog pump off. That mounted down here. I think it was like right here. And then it had tubing and crap going everywhere. Basically, it's useless. What it did is it pumps air into the exhaust to trick emissions into thinking that there's less parts per million of pollutants in there. So that's bullshit anyways. So we are getting rid of that. I may end up needing a different sized belt, but I want to say that the belt I have is already shorter because the AC was removed. I think it might work. We'll see. So yeah, the next thing is you take this bad boy off. I want to say there's like a 5/8. I should get a light, but there's a 5/8 there. There was one there as well that went through that stamped steel plate. It was a long bolt, but that's already been moved. So I think I just have the one bolt to take out. And then you replace it with this. I believe that goes that way. We'll see. Apparently it only goes on one way, so we'll have to see. It either goes like that or like that. I'm not sure. I'll look once I get the bolts out. I think it's got to go like that because I can see that bolt that has to come out right there. Otherwise, it would go through this guy, and I know that it doesn't. So that way, that's how it goes. So places it with that. I'm gonna do that, and then we'll come back. I wasn't sure if you could see that. I put some goop in those threads and just kind of chased them out with the bolt because I don't have a thread chaser. But this thing is gonna go actually like that. So oops. Basically, if you have it like this, let's see what that looks like. Right, there's the raised portion there and this raised up portion there. That's just gonna go straight like so these two go in those two. That one goes there. Bing, bang, boom. This honestly not sure what that's for. I think it was routed above it. I'll go ahead and do that again, but not 100% sure. I think this is for the coolant temp sensor, because it goes like right down there somewhere. Anyways, and there's that. I'll have to figure that out. So yeah, that was routed up like this. I'll put it under there actually. I'll let you know. Anyways, you got these 3 bolts. There's lock washers on them. They want you to put anti-seize on these and run them in. So I'm going to do that. Thanks. Okay, so that's on there. It doesn't give any torque specs. I'm using a 3/8 ratchet, so like I didn't get it too tight. Just wanted to kind of get it tight enough that it smushed the washers, and that's what I did. So that's that. This next piece, yeah, thick. I'll have to look that up. I think it actually, okay, so I think it's going to go over these 2 studs here. Missing one of the nuts. That looks right. I'm gonna double check, but this kind of lines up with that. And what it is these really long bolts that are gonna replace these ones on the power steering pump, and then that's gonna go right there. I don't know what that is for. I'll double check and be right back. But I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Okay, so yeah, that goes like that. I gotta find the other nut to secure that, but basically you get these on, and you kind of like to leave it loose so it's floppy. These are gonna come out. Oh, there's one more down there. I can't. I'll show you in a minute, but there's one more down there that has to come off. And we're gonna get rid of these. Well, so I think I can just reuse that nut because nothing else. Yeah, I'm not gonna need these studs, so I'm just gonna rob the nut off one of those for the other one. Anyways, so yeah, that goes in there. This thing slides up. The bottom goes there. The top goes there. And then yeah, you just kind of tighten it up there. It says to get the bottom started first, and then you can kind of roll the top up into that one. I want you to lube up these bad boys and use these last 2 lock washers that come with the kit. Says to use anti-seize, but it looks like he uses grease. So I'm gonna do that. Anyway, I'll set you back up on some time lapse and we'll get to it. Okay, so one thing I'm running into is that I don't understand how it's possible, because this was up higher, but my hose isn't long enough. And this fuel line is kind of in the way, but I'm not going to reuse this anyways, so I'm gonna buzz that off, and hopefully I can get just enough that I can turn this thing and actually sit it on there. So we'll see. Okay, well, yeah, that didn't work. I just don't have enough. I don't have enough length in that hose. Anyways, I was just kidding about how this thing is oriented. If you see, so that's the center of the water pump. This is the next one over to your right. This portion is going to be there, and then that hole there is actually not for a bolt, for one of those bolts to go through, but to clearance that stud there. Sorry. So then you got these two studs, and then if you can see this and that one will line up with those two threaded holes on that deal. But like I said, I'm just a wee short on my power steering hose, which sucks. It also doesn't make sense, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to get a new hose so I can do this. So I'll do that tomorrow, because I think the AutoZone's already closed. Maybe I'll run to AutoZone today. Anyways, I gotta get a new hose here, because this guy, even if I route it up above there, which obviously I can't really have that, it just doesn't reach. Let's see if I can show you. So it just doesn't reach. Like the bottom one will line up, but I can't turn it enough. So yeah, new hose is needed, because I'm like 1/8 of an inch short on that hose. So see you in a bit. Okay, I started this. I didn't connect the hose yet. I disconnected the hose from that end, got it pinched. I drained some of the stuff from the line, and I've got the other hose. It's right here. Basically, I'm gonna get this thing started and then see how much hose I need. Snip it off. I'm gonna disconnect that and try and get this thing reconnected as quickly as possible. I got it hooked up on this rack side, so that's not a big deal. I'm just trying not to puke out too much fluid. Not that like I don't have more, but just trying not to get all over the floor. So yeah, we are gonna get that thing started. Then I'm gonna get the second one started. Then I'll figure out how much hose I need. I got 3 feet. It was all they had. Should be plenty to give me like some room. Basically, I'm gonna probably zip tie it to this this kind of pre-made hose. This is like the high pressure line. That return line is just regular 3/8 power steering hose. It's like, I want to say it's like 20,000 psi or something like that. But it's just, you know, 229 a foot, whereas this is kind of, you know, it's got special fitting and all kind of shit. So that's where I'm at. I will put this on time lapse, and then we'll come back in a minute. Okay, that hose was really fighting me if you saw that, but there it is, all routed in. I did spill just a little bit on that frame rail, but not a huge deal. I don't think I got much on the floor. There's a little bit back there. So yeah, I don't really like the way this is. I might give that a little turn, maybe like a quarter turn that way. I don't know, we'll see. But anyways, this is all good. I just got to tighten this down here. I ended up getting a new belt yesterday. They say, I've seen some people say 73.5, some people say 72.5. So I got 73. We'll see how this fits here in a minute. But this is the part number that I'm going to use. It's from like a 2014 Ram with 5.7, which is actually kind of convenient because this is the same belt that my truck uses. So I probably will normally have a spare for this in the truck that I could use for both. So yeah, I'm going to tighten this up, see if I can get the belt back on here in a minute, and see what I can do about that. I don't know that I really like that. It would be better if I could turn it like a little bit, but this hose obviously is not meant for this car, because the engine power steering pump is different, different fittings, different length hose. So that hose, it fits on that end. I think these are probably pretty standard fittings, so it fits on that end, but is not really the right length. I've got some extra, so we'll see. Maybe it stays like that, maybe it doesn't. I'll let you know. Okay, I found this on the interwebs of the belt routing. So this is the alternator, tensioner, water pump, crankshaft. That one over there is the power steering, as you can see. Alternator, tensioner, water pump, crankshaft, power steering. That's how it's supposed to go. So says the 73-inch belt. We shall see. I'm gonna put it up on time lapse again, route this bad boy, and see what happens. It's not ready to run yet, but should be able to at least set the tension and stuff. I do need to change this water pump, but again, I'm on a kind of a time crunch. I just need to get this thing running so I could get it up on a trailer. There's lots of rust from sitting, and I don't want to put the new water pump on and get a bunch of rust in it. So right now I've got the heater core bypassed because I don't want rust in that. It was bypassed to begin with a different way. So I'm just going to kind of route it back into itself. This thing, I tried to thread that. It was pretty corroded, so I tried to thread that deal in there and block that actual deal, and it cracked it. So that thing kind of leaks. I have another one. I'm not sure if I want to put it in right away, again, because I don't want it to fill up with rust, but I might have to, depending on how badly this leaks. So we'll see. I've got a plug in there that's also for the heater bypass, basically. This, I don't remember which one, but I think that one goes up into the heater, the bottom one. The top one comes out and goes into here. I don't know, I'll have to look because I don't know what happens in this one. Anyways, goes into there. One of these goes into here, the other goes up into the heater, and then the return from the heater goes into the intake, I think. I'll have to look. It came with this bad boy here, which that completely was rotten, and it broke off in the intake. That's completely rotten. You can hear all the rust in it, and that's rotten. Yeah, don't put water in your engine. Use coolant, water wetter, something. Anyways, you can see this went into the intake, goes into the bottom hose of the heater core. Top hose of the heater core came into the top one, and that went into, I believe, the bottom one on the water pump, and then this one on the water pump goes into the water neck. We'll see. I'll look at some diagrams. Again, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to bypass that. I'm going to leave that plugged. I'm going to leave that plugged. And hopefully it doesn't look too bad. The radiator leaks. I probably have to, I have to either get it repaired or get another one. That leaks. The water pump doesn't leak, but those things are kind of rotten, so only a matter of time. Anyway, that's where we're at. I'm going to route this belt and get this thing limping. Okay, well, as you can see, even if this thing took up all the slack that it can take up, but this belt is too long. This belt is too long, and I'm thinking it's because these are underdrive pulleys. So I think that's probably why some people said you need a 72, and some people said you need a 73. Man, I don't know, I might need like a 71 and a half to take up that much slack. So that sucks, but freaking auto parts store is closed again already. So I'm gonna have to do some research and see what freaking belt I can use. That sucks. We'll be back. Okay, quick update on the power steering relocation. One thing I will tell you is that the 705 K6 belt is not the right size. And be careful if you try and make it the right size, because you could be an idiot like me and push your tensioner just one little millimeter too far. Anyways, it broke. It broke. That's my fault. That's on me. So anyway, I got this new one from AutoZone. I paid for it, obviously, but where did I just say that? Not sure where the old one. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I was pretty pissed. I didn't film this. It's a good thing there were some swear words, but I was trying to do this really quick before I had to get out of the house for the weekend. Pushed it too far, and you'll see this thing, the bolt goes through the center. There's just a little cast, a little nub there that fits in there to hold it, and just, that's not much. It'd be cool if there's like a bolt or something, but there's not. So even though the spring in this still seemed pretty good, I mean, this is from 1990. It's the original piece. This thing had 90,000 miles on it, and then it sat for like a while. So, it's probably time anyway, but it is kind of a bummer that because I'm stupid, I had to spend $50 a little bit sooner. So anyway, this is the Duralast part number from AutoZone. It looked like it was going to be a little bit different. I'm just now opening this, but one thing I noticed, which I thought was pretty cool, is that little lock nub appears to be a screw, so that's replaceable, maybe. Where are you gonna find a screw that looks like that? I don't know, but so that's the part. Obviously this pulley is plastic, so that's different. It's also not anywhere near the same size. Well, that could be interesting. I guess worst case scenario, we can swap that pulley out probably. I mean, that is one thing. If you can see that, the bearing in that thing is like, that was probably robbing some power. Whereas this bad boy, well, I wouldn't say it spins freely, but you know, a little bit more so than this. So anyway, I'm gonna knock that little piece out, see if this thing fits, and then well, I thought for sure it was going to be one of these belts because based on the size of that pulley, but maybe it's not now because this one's smaller. So we'll see. I still have the other one too, the 705 K6. I still have it. It's probably one of those three. I'm gonna start with this one because this one is $23 and that one's $38, as is the 705 K6, and you know, 50% or so less, I think, is better. And then I don't know what the application of this is. It doesn't really matter, honestly. If you need this belt and you have 6 ribs, this is the outside measurement of the diameter of the belt. So this is 71.5 inches outside diameter, except for it's actually not. So you know, look at the specs online. It'll tell you the actual diameter. Inside diameter is going to be a little bit different, obviously, because of the width of the belt. But it shouldn't be anything crazy. So, yep. I'm going to put you down and get to putting this thing in and throw it on time lapse maybe, and we'll go from there. Okay, as you saw, that thing went on. It's good. It might still be a little tight. We'll see if it squeals or anything, but that was this one, the 715 K6. I don't think that there's a 720 K6. That would be, you know, a ½ inch bigger than this one, but I think that's gonna be good. Little tight is probably better than a little loose because it won't slip, and if the thing stretches, you know, this will still take up the slack a little bit. Also, this actually has, you know, if you see, it actually has quite a bit more range, so I think that's about right. One thing I'm looking at, it looks like this one could rotate. This could rotate all the way up to there, you know, which would be like almost parallel. So it would still put some tension on a much longer belt, I think. Anyway, just some musings. that's the belt. I already had tightened these ones up. Well, that still looks a little bit loose. I'll go back through and make sure that those are all tight. These are all tight. I turned that guy, so have a little bit of a loop in this end, but that's fine. This is more out of the way. So yeah, that is the install of that. Don't be an idiot like me. You watch videos on YouTube. You can learn from the mistakes that idiots make when they get in a hurry. There'll be more, I promise. It's kind of a theme with me, but we eventually get it done. Usually just the impatience cost me a couple bucks, a couple days here and there, and lesson learned. Maybe one day. Anyways, y'all, appreciate you tuning in. Have a good one.